Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today, one of the most requested stories over the past day, is the situation around Demi Lovato. Now, I mentioned this on Twitter before yesterday's show went out, but I still saw a good number of comments in the YouTube comment section yesterday saying, Phil, why didn't you talk about Demi Lovato today? And my response to that is it was breaking news. There were still a lot of unknowns about the situation. It was near the end of the Philip DeFranco Show, and it just felt wrong to me to just try and throw that story in. Right, and how often is it that when a story is first reported, it turns out, oh, things may have actually been different. But if you didn't see the story, TMZ ended up breaking the news. TMZ saying a law enforcement source told them that Lovato suffered from what appeared to be a heroin overdose. But on that note, according to reports, it said they had sources close to Demi Lovato. It was not heroin. Additionally, it was reported that Lovato had been found unconscious at her home. And there, law enforcement sources say she was treated with Narcan. And Narcan, if you don't know, is an emergency medication meant to reverse an opioid overdose. And long story short, Demi Lovato ends up getting taken to the hospital, and now we know that she is okay. She is alive. And a rep for Demi Lovato issued the statement, Demi is awake and with her family who want to express thanks to everyone for the love, prayers, and support. Some of the information being reported is incorrect, and they respectfully ask for privacy. Now, of course, even with that said, other outlets are still reporting what led up to this moment. But ultimately, here's what I would like to do around this story. Whether it be heroin, liquor, I mean, Demi Lovato has talked about abusing cocaine, Oxycontin. No matter the specifics of the drug, what we're talking about is a drug abuse situation. I think we as individuals, when we reflect on our own lives or we look out into our inner circle, you know, family, friends, coworkers, whoever, and as a society, and try to remove the stigma around someone that is suffering from a substance abuse problem. That we don't view those people, or if it's you in your own personal situation, as lesser, as bad, garbage, as unredeemable. And I say that as someone who I look back on my career and I'm disappointed in myself for how I covered situations like Amy Winehouse. How cold and disconnected I was from another human being suffering because I said, why would you do this? You have everything you could want in the world. You have fame, you have a skill. You have a skill that people love, and they throw affection your way and money your way, and it made it unrelatable. But at the same time, I say that, I think it's incredibly important we just don't coddle these individuals. That we don't act like they are 100% a victim of a situation they cannot control. Right, like if you were friends with Demi Lovato in this situation and you're like, you know what, Demi's Demi, she's gonna do her own thing. And I think it's important we try to find this middle ground where we have understanding, we make ourselves available. As someone who here and there over the years have gone to AA meetings with family and friends for people kind of taking that first step to acknowledge what they're going through and to find something and not feel so alone, I will let you know it is so incredibly helpful. But at the same time, it's incredibly important to point out that you can't force help onto someone. The person needs to be open to this change in their life if it's going to stick for the long term, and that's one of the biggest things. It's not like, oh, you get fixed and it's done. This is a lifelong thing, right? Like having these things, whether it be an AA, a SMART, a Life Ring, a Women for Sobriety, it's about not feeling alone, having community, getting tools from people who have gone through the same struggle, are still going through the same struggle. Maybe you help someone else and you get a little value there. And so that's why with this story, if I was covering it like any other story, I'd talk about the outpourings of support from other celebrities, etc., etc. But instead, how I would like to end this story is to say, if you feel like you are personally struggling, if you feel like you have someone in your life that is personally struggling, if it's you, please know that you are not lesser, that you are not alone, and use any and all of the resources that I'm going to include down below. And or if you have someone in or around your life that's going through something, let them know that they're not alone, that they have these resources, that you'll take them to a first meeting if they want, or even just start talking. Let them know that this shouldn't be a hit to their pride. And don't be discouraged if the initial reaction from that person is incredibly negative or they say something horrible. We need to tear the stigma down. You know how not alone you are? Drug overdoses are now the leading cause of death in Americans under 50. And those numbers aren't going to get better unless we do something different. At the end of the day, the way that I view 99% of people, we're all a bunch of fucking broken half people that are always trying on social media to act like we're a lot more whole than we are. And unfortunately, a lot of the actions we take in our lives just further separate us from other people, even though our brokenness, our feeling of being disconnected, those are arguably some of the most powerful things that make us more connected and more relatable, and our experiences less unique. And so with me using the platform I've been lucky enough to garner over these years just for this moment, getting that out there into the world, if it helps one person, if it helps you, if it helps someone else in your life, That's a fucking win as far as I'm concerned. And actually, on the note of getting a win where we can, any and all money that we make with today's video, YouTube AdSense, today we have a sponsor, it's a CPA sponsor. Whatever we end up making from today's show, we will be donating to the Center on Addiction, an organization whose purpose is to find, promote, and enact the necessary solutions to end America's deadly addiction crisis. But with that said, of course, I do want to pass the question off to you. What are your feelings around this story? I'd love to hear any and all thoughts, and if you're comfortable, personal experiences with situations like this. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome brought to you by Postmates. And Postmates, if you don't know, is the fantastic delivery on-demand app. You want something from one of your favorite restaurants, a store, boom, just open up the app, they will deliver it to your house, your work, your wherever. It's one of the best conveniences and just such a time saver. And so if you'd like to test it out, go to postdefranco.com, download the app, and then make sure you enter in promo code PhillyD, because if you're a new user and you do, you will get $100 in free delivery credit. And the first bit of awesome is today, you might not be aware, is National Hire a Veteran Day. So one, if you are a veteran, I would recommend going to hireourheroes.com or other employment services. Two, if you're an employer and you're looking to hire some fantastic individuals, I also recommend going to those sites. And three, as a way to raise awareness to this day and the general idea, we put out a special video on our secondary channel today. It's this really fantastic sit-down interview with one of the newest members of our team, Adam. He's a great guy, he's a veteran, he's badass at his job here, and he was kind enough to sit down and talk kind of on light things, but also some of the heavier things that I think can be very helpful. So after today's video, I definitely recommend checking that out. Then we had a trailer for Paradise PD. We got the Honest Game trailer for Mega Man X. We had Lenny Kravitz showing us his favorite possessions. Will Arnett trying to teach you Canadian slang. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. Then in industry news, we're seeing reports that Viacom is digging even further into online content. As you might remember, this past February, Viacom, which of course is notoriously one of the companies that essentially tried to kill YouTube back in the day, they purchased VidCon last February, and there are now reports that they are trying to buy Awesomeness TV. And if you're not aware, Awesomeness TV is an online digital network that on their site they say they represent Liza Koshy, like Mikey Murphy, Claudia Salewski. Now, a thing to note is, unlike VidCon, Awesomeness TV was already very, very corporate. If you don't know the history here, and I wouldn't fault you for it, I care about this stuff more than most people. Awesomeness was first acquired in 2013 by DreamWorks for at least $33 million. Then in 2014, Hearst Communications jumped in at a valuation of $325 million. And then in 2016, Verizon came into the picture, got a minority share at a valuation of $650 million. And that $650 million figure is important, especially coming off the news that we talked about yesterday, with how much Verizon has lost. Because according to reports, this deal could happen in the next 6 weeks, and we're looking at a number that is below $300 million. Now, with all of that said, as far as the actual valuation, I don't know. I haven't seen the books for Awesomeness TV. I don't know what their true value is, but for Viacom, I think it really does make sense. An important thing to note, and others have, is that Viacom owns both MTV and Nickelodeon. Right now, arguably the largest star for Awesomeness TV, Liza Koshy, has a show on Nickelodeon. Why? Well, one, she's just generally fantastic, and two, she probably just destroys it, kills it in their demo. And with Awesomeness TV's talent being so young, having such a young audience, it just makes sense. Especially if the intent is not to just keep things digital, but to go cross-platform. Now, as far as is that the game plan, or hell, will this deal actually happen? We'll have to wait and see. But that said, I feel like this is just another example of something that I've been shouting for the last 8 years, while a lot of my friends have said, TV is dead. No, some TV brands will die, but for the most part, you will always see an industry evolve to adapt, to absorb. But then the winners and losers from that point on, it really depends on what you do. Then we had Brock Turner in the news, who many news outlets still refer to as the former Stanford swimmer, although I prefer to identify him as the registered sex offender Brock Turner. The main point, the reason sex offender Brock Turner is back in the news is because his lawyer is trying to get his conviction overturned. And the big standout moment from all of this is that Brock Turner's lawyer argued that the conviction should be overturned because there was a lack of evidence, and that actually what happened was that Brock Turner was seeking outercourse and not intercourse with this intoxicated victim. And as far as what is outer course, according to the report, the attorney described it as a version of safe sex that does not involve vaginal sex. He also described it as sexual contact while fully clothed, arguing that because Turner was caught with his clothes on, even though while he was on top of the victim, it shows he did not intend to rape her. And I'm confused how the lawyer thinks that there was a lack of evidence. We're talking about a situation where there were 2 eyewitnesses. Those 2 exchange students who came across him said they found him aggressively thrusting on top of this girl. And as far as the assistant attorney general's Daniel's response to the lawyer's new version of events, she said he had presented a far-fetched version of events, noting that bystanders could tell from 30 feet away that the victim was unconscious. And as far as my personal takeaway from this, obviously I think that Brock Turner's lawyer is arguing a ridiculous case, but I can't fully hate on him. He is a lawyer and he's trying to do anything he can to get his client off. So instead, I'll take this moment to remind you that registered sex offender Brock Turner, who was found guilty of assault with intent to commit rape, found guilty of sexual penetration of an intoxicated person with a foreign object, and found guilty of sexual penetration of an unconscious person with a foreign object. His father, Dan Turner, once referred to all of those actions as 20 minutes of action, specifically arguing that his son shouldn't get jail time because that is a steep price to pay for 20 minutes of action out of his 20+ years of life. And to Dan, I would say for you to refer to what happened as 20 minutes of action, fuck you, right in your stupid fucking face. 20 minutes of action is what you would refer to making the mistake that is Brock Turner, not what took place on that night, not the actions of registered sex offender Brock Turner. And in case you forgot, you put it in the back of your mind so you didn't have to think of what a scumbag your son is. I'll read you and everyone here just the smallest piece of another letter that was submitted to the court. A letter from your son's victim that read, "In public news, I learned that my ass and vagina were completely exposed outside. My breasts had been groped. Fingers had been jabbed inside me along with pine needles and debris. My bare skin and head had been rubbing against the ground behind a dumpster while an erect freshman was humping my half-naked, unconscious body. I thought there's no way this is going to trial. There were witnesses, there was dirt in my body. He ran but was caught." And that's where I'm gonna end this story, with her words. And that's where we're ending today's show. And of course, remember, this is the PDS. It is not just a show, it is a conversation. So whether it be the last story, the first one, anything in between, let me know what you're thinking in those comments down below. And remember, if you like this video, you want more in the future, hit that subscribe button. If you want to get notifications, ring that bell, make sure it's set to all. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.